Alrighty, let's do this. Hello, hello. Man, it's been crazy to get to this point. I literally set up this live stream in the last hour, like from the ground up, as in I have a new computer and I had to plug everything in. So welcome to a Q&A live stream. There is so much to go over. I'm going to try and answer all of your questions, but first just give me 2 moments to get set up. First, how's the audio doing? Because I have no idea. This is the first time setting this up. So you hear me good? Let's see. Hey, how you doing, Cyber Bob? I've seen you about. I see that you're quite excited about this. Hey, Eric. Awesome. I'm also going to open up my windows here so that I have access to the community. Hello from sunny Liverpool. All right, let's see. Out of sync. Oh dear. There's a delay in the audio. Darn it. Well, I guess that's what happens when you literally set this up just now. Let's see if we can sync it up. Goodness me, this is going to be a tricky battle now. Give me a moment. You can tell I'm a real YouTube professional. Oh, other people? No delay, no audio delay for me. Audio is great. Oh, okay, so everything is synced. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it works with my fingers. Actually, hold on, I've got the stream in front of me. Okay, there is no delay, thank God. All right, brilliant. All right, let's get on with it. I'm going to open up a couple of extra little things here just so that I have them in front of me. I'm going to answer all of your questions. This is going to be a long one because there is a long list. I also need to open up my little list of many listicles here. Give me a moment on that one too. But yeah, let me know, first and foremost, what's the first build, while I'm sorting all this out, what's the first build that's coming to your mind to do with the on-grid update? Exactly what you're going to first build with it. I'll tell you my personal one and why I have all these parts here. I'm going to build the easiest and simplest one, which is obviously a PC. I really want to build a computer case. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff to go with the computer case, but yeah. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Let me see, we're going to go... Done. Just need to go to the right spaces everywhere. Sorry that I'm all over the place. It's been a mad few weeks, as you can imagine, and I know there isn't enough basically descriptions on anything, but the whole reason of that is because it's been that mad. Let me just get the last little bit here of the questions that are going to pop up. Multiboard community. Here it is. Ideas. Well, next big update. Open that up. Open that up. Perfect. So I've got that open here. I've got the live stream questions over in the Multiboard circle community. So make sure you head that way if you want to put any questions in as well. And okay, we are ready to truly get started with this. So let's see what you guys have been saying thus far in the stream chat. I probably should really pull out that stream chat because this is quite annoying to have this always pop out the chat. Here we go. So now I can have you guys off to the side here. I can also open up the community off to the side here, and I can then see everything that's going on. You're doing grand. Projector mount housing. No delay, no delay. Here we go. Getting excited. Audio is about 200 milliseconds delayed. Unbearable. I'm sorry, man. I'll make sure I fix it all up. Maybe a Creality AMS. planning on using ongrid to make my exoskeletons for electronics the same way camera cages are used. That's awesome, man. That sounds brilliant. All right, so there we go. Oh, I'm not out of focus, am I? No, just poor quality, I think. And now live stream chat here on the side as well, because we're going to have that. And then I've also got my big long list of many topics to cover, because yeah, lots of topics to talk about here. Okay, got all my windows sorted now. Sorry for the delay. Right, so the ongrid update. What exactly is it? Because it's actually, I understand it's incredibly daunting, especially when you've been working on this for a whole year and just like, oh damn, has he just broken everything? I've done my absolute best not to break compatibility as much as possible. There are a few places that it might feel a little bit strange or different in some way, shape or form, and I think I want to get those out of the way first before I go on to any questions and all the rest. So what are the key things that have changed? Well, the key things that have changed is the tile. I know you're like, oh yeah, we already know, you've added the border. A little bit more than that. The tiles have moved from being 6.4 millimeters to 6.2. I know, but trust me, I've done extensive testing and this doesn't break compatibility anywhere. It's really important because, as I said in the update video, what I've done is I've thrown all the parts basically up in the air, and then they've had like a little bit of a tweak and then fallen back down. And that tweak is moving everything to the grid. What is the grid? The grid is basically 25 millimeters from the very center of one of these out by 25 millimeters and 25 millimeters. Imagine a matrix, a 3D matrix of that. That is the grid. So I wanted everything to be a division or a multiplication of 25. So now the tile is 6.2, yes, it's a rounding up because it should technically be 6.125 or something like that, or 6.25 to actually fit in properly, but I wanted it to make it 6.2 because some slicers round upwards, others round downwards, and it really can screw things up. But this means that I've also changed a couple of other things, which is the small thread and the medium thread. The thread pitch is now 3.125. Before it was 3, and you're like, oh god, you've changed the thread pitch, that breaks everything. Actually, a 0.125 change doesn't break anything, considering we already have so much tolerance in the system. So with that in mind, now you'll be able to basically get tiles together and almost thread directly through this. So this ironing stack here, I would be able to get a small thread and just thread it all the way through. Before, that wasn't the case, because you would have this tiny little gap. So now if you remove a rotation, I think it's 3 or 4 rotations, you will have an entire tile space right there of the grid, which is what we're trying to do here. The same happened with the mid thread, and then I know there's a big bunch of complexity that I've thrown in, which is there is also another thread, which is the locking thread, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's see, any other big changes? Well, the other big changes were the brackets, and let me just swing in my jank close-up cam here. We're going to click close here so you can get a good look. So the close-up here is we've now changed this to look like this. Before, we had these really big bolt locks coming in that would then use, where is a multi-pointer near me? It's got one inside here. Give me one moment while I grab a multi-point. Actually, I'm not going to find a multi-point that quickly, but I think you understand how they used to be. And now we have this locking thread. So this is a locking bolt. I'm going to add some indentations on the front here to make them a lot more distinguishable from multi-points, because they're not the same height and flange and all the rest. But these are the middle thread between a small thread and a mid thread. They are made to hold. This holding right here, when you put a tile onto there and you try to pull on that, I've now seen that this can go well above 16 kilos. In fact, I was tested it all the way, let me zoom back out, go too far. In fact, when I did my testing, I literally would put it onto one of these or one of these and have a snap, and I would go ahead and I would bolt that in, and I would literally get a piece of wood and just pull it up until it broke off. I wanted to know the worst situation, which is grabbing this and pulling, how much will it be able to hold? And it kept consistently going to like 27, 36, 32, and I was just like, yep, that 30 number is the magic number that I'm looking for a single one of these. Just a single one of these to hold so that it will hold most situations that are out there. So yeah, this lovely little bracket did get changed. Now there's many cool things about this other little bracket. Let me go back to the close here. Now this little bracket, because of the changes, before when you were to put a base plate onto here, you needed a little spacer. Now you don't. You can just put that directly in place. You go here, and then you're able to get one of these lock bolts, and you just put that right into here. Let me just get that. Come on. Yeah. It's always so tricky sometimes to get these started. Come on. We'll get there. There we go. And then once it gets started, it will go all the way in. Before this was a big frustration. Now that is going to be completely flat to the surface. You can now just use that however it is you want. And yeah. But as you see, that's now flat to the surface. So let me just think. That was the other sort of semi-breaking. It's not really breaking. I'm trying to simplify the system. Is the new standard is flush. Now, what exactly do I mean by the new standard is flush? I mean, I have introduced this here. And this right here is the flush part B. Now, the flush part B, flush part B, which goes with the part A's. I know the first question, which I'm going to answer right now, is, oh dear, if this is the part B, do I need to change all my part A's that I have behind here? No. In fact, all of my board here is made out of the old part A's. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means that right here, there is the smallest, and I do mean the smallest little sort of bump upwards of these, which is a 0.6 bump up. But if you really want to be super duper hyper flat, you can, but I've tested again extensively. This doesn't create any issue. It's only when you have more than about 1.2 millimeter bump out that it starts to become a bit of a, damn, I can't get my bin shells to actually connect anywhere, and then that's where things get really annoying. All right, I'm going to quickly go through some of the things that are going on here. Let me take a look. Is there a quad part B? Okay, so many people are getting confused with the part B here having to, why is there not a dual one or a quad one? It's because you quite literally cannot do that. So let me just quickly grab, I have a mount here. Here we go. So we'll grab my old starter kit here. Let me grab something to remove a snap. Shimmy, shimmy. Because I don't have anything. There we go. And we'll grab the dual. Well, we already have the dual right here. And this is going to be a perfect example to show you how it's going to bump out a little bit. So let's go nice and close here. So here it is. So right there, this is a dual. Imagine this was a quad. It's the exact same. Because these need to be flush to the surface, we're going to look right here. There's our little square. Look for the square. We're going to go here. We're going to push that now in. It's going to snap in. And there we go. That is now flush. Now, this isn't the flush part A. So you'll see, let's see if I can get an angle where you see the tiny little raisedness. Like it's just a tiny little bit raised. But there's no way of getting a flush across both because this goes all the way up to the flush line. So we can't actually cross the flushing. So what we have is two separate singles. It's all just singles now. You just put all the part, it's the same part B that goes above all of these. And you'll be wondering, hold on, doesn't that make the system weaker or ruin things? And I truly believed that that was going to be the case. However, after again some more testing, I saw that this did not actually affect the strength that much. It does weaken it a little bit by about 5-ish kilos. Now, again, I don't really like saying weights because if I actually say weights, then people are going to be like, oh, you said it's that much, but it's really, it depends on your printing tolerances, your own printer and all the rest. It can really change from print to print. All right, let me take a look at what's going on here. Okay, let me just see. Oh, there's so much. Okay, let me actually, let's go actually through this list. We're only 16 minutes in and I haven't even really covered much. But let's see, actual compatibility breaking things. There's that, which was the brackets. So the brackets go a little bit weird. There was one compatibility breaking aspect with the brackets, which some of you do use quite a bit. Let me just open up and grab this here. Have myself a little space. Excuse the racket. There is, oh wait, I've got it in front of me. Why am I doing that? I've got all the important parts in front of me. We've updated this little thing. Let me go close here once again for you guys. This little thing, the thing that let you do trays nice and flush on top of the brackets, this had to get updated because the brackets changed completely. So this now goes on there, and now exactly the same. It's a locking thread, so you're going to put that lock one on there. Then you're going to get yourself your multi-point and put that on there so you can put a tray onto it. Now, do be aware that because there was the change now of the flush aspect of things, we did have to change the pop-in that was right here. This lovely little guy, the pop-in that lets you, so we pop this into a bin like this, and that is how you used to be able to support your bin shells. So if this was here to support that there, you get the little pop-in with this little nub. I'm going to go close again so I can show you. The pop-in with this little nub, and then here you're going to be like, hold on, but I can't, that doesn't work. Well, to make that work, we have this little adapter. So if you're ever wanting to go back to just using multi-points to do locks, you can grab this one here. You adapt that locking bolt to a smaller thread, and then that's going to take this little thing perfectly there so it can be supported like so. So that's the only other one that really was like sort of compatibility breaking, because I had to change and shift that. Now do be aware that the old snaps are now called raised snaps, the ones that have the sort of the thickness on the front of the face, and that thickness has increased. It used to be 2.6, it's now 3.2. Yeah, it's now 3.2 because it's now back onto the grid, which is 3.125. It's all, everything is now rigidly onto the grid because there's some really interesting things that are coming in the future, probably end of May. That's what I'm going to say. End of May, something truly groundbreaking is going to be coming, and it's going to change again, just as groundbreaking as this. It's going to be changing the space in a good way. It's not changing the space, it's adding to the whole space itself. Okay, I think that is all for the things that really changed and made things maybe a little bit weird, a little bit confusing, because I did do all these changes in the last 3 weeks. Things that have also updated is obviously the bin shells. They used to be like this here, so we're going to go close up. They used to not have those clip holes here on the front, and now the new ones have those clip holes here, but they're exactly the same. They work, they do exactly the same things. So it's all, it all still works. Again, trying to make cross compatibility from the Back to the Future as much as possible. All right, that is everything that changed that might have been weird. Now, the other things that I want to mention here are all these other things on my list. So let's just, let me cross them off one by one. We still have like an entire hour and a half to play around with here. So give me a moment. Alrighty, here we go. Let's go with the border tiles. and show you how they work. So the border tiles, as you know, they have a border on them, and the borders now have dual clips. We've added a new dual clip, which is the light dual clip, which I showed in the update, which is that little guy right here. Don't expect this little guy to be super strong. He's not a full dual clip. These guys are very much made for, hey, you want to densely pack the dual clips everywhere, go for it. And then from there, if you want to make it a permanent setup, you use the other ones with the tool to really push it in, because if you try to push in a dual clip with your thumb, you're gonna bruise your thumb. So we have the light dual clips, we have these. Now you can tell why I've gone ahead and it's taken a bit of a time, because this connects onto through the dual clips that lets you do some amazing things and all sorts of fun stuff. This is still just the beginning. We have all types of beams coming. I know many of you are going to be like, hold on, are you going to be working on hinges? Are you going to be working on 3-way, 4-way? And all of that is currently under development. Hopefully within the next coming few days they'll be out, so no need to like rush out and try and beat me to make. I've already got them made. I just decided that I was going to do an update to these, which is why they're not actually made again right now, and the update is really worthwhile. Now, when it comes to the border tiles, I strongly suggest to go and look at the planner to truly understand how to use it. So let me see if I can grab up the planner here, because I've just realized if I can share my screen and show you the multi-board planner, that's gonna, I think, make everything so much easier to understand. So we're gonna go to the planner here. I'm going to turn on, let's see if we can do this without making everyone seasick and repeating pattern of this. There we go, going over here, and let's see, because I haven't actually tested this out. Clicking here, nope, that's gone to the wrong one. So let's bring this back over here, and let's bring that up here. All right, first, let me know, can you still hear me now that I've done that? Because I don't know if you will be able to still hear me. Hold on, I'm listening. Yep, you can still hear me. Okay, so the multi-board planner very much explains what the new border tiles are. We still have the core tile that works in the core of the system, and then we have all these new border tiles. You click continue. We're just going to go with 1000 by 1000. Click create tile set, and here it is. So this little sort of line means that it's a border, and you'll see that we have the top left, top right, bottom left. It's sort of very much this border aspect of things. And then we also have the multi-board tile, multi-board gen, I think it's tile. I always forget. Nope, generator. Generator. I can't spell to save my life, so let's just try and see if we can find it ourselves. And dun dun, simple tile generator. Here it is. And the simple tile generator, you'll see the planner sort of straight away reflects the same. So you can just click here to create all your border ones. Now there's these strip ones in case you want to create a big long strip of these, and also there's the single ones that are all bordered all around. This is sort of the easiest and simplest way to go ahead and like create a whole bunch of different sort of setups of 3D space. I hope that sort of you get an idea now of the border tiles a little bit better there. Okay, at least I've covered one thing. You know what, now that I've covered one thing, let's go through some questions, because that's the whole point of a live stream, is for me to actually answer some live questions as well. So let's take a look. I want to go to the chat first. Remember, start your question with a big capital question at the front, because it makes it a lot easier for me to find it. So let me just scroll through the YouTube chat, and I'll also go into the community chat to take a good on look. And let's see, dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. Okay, there is one person that's actually done the question. With all of these new options released, how does that fit into the simplifying of the system? Great question, Eric. Okay, the simplifying of the system is basically, hey, if you really want to just take it really simple, you decide. You can use either this or this. Just screw it directly onto a wall and then just use the snap connections. That's it. Like, you don't need to use anything else. You don't need to go 3D. You don't need to use bins or anything. If you're literally just looking to put things onto the wall, there and there. Now keep in mind, if you do go directly onto the wall and you use the screws, you're not going to be able to use pegboard accessories. Now, I was going to get something ready for this live stream, but it isn't yet. But it's this teeny tiny little offset that goes on the back here. So that is going to be like the simplest way of doing offset mounting if you don't want this way of doing it, because the reason why this way exists is at any point you can just go here, undo these 4 corner ones, pull out the tile and change it for, well, pull out the plate and change it for a tile. But if you don't want to change things up that frequently, you can just go ahead and screw everything in. I personally am probably going to change these 4 here to be that offset one. I'm going to change the space over there to be the offset one using this, because personally I'm not a big fan of all of this being used up there. It's really quite annoying, and I understand the annoyance of that, and I'm not going to really be changing this back tile that often, not in this setup right anyway. In other setups I will. And also the idea that you can just connect things in sort of little batches like this has changed the way that I really look at the system now, because it just adds a new level of flexibility that I didn't truly fully comprehend till I actually made it in the real world. Okay, let's see, any other questions popping up? Okay, there's 3 questions that have just popped up. First one from Adam. Is there a way to tell if the parts you have downloaded are updated or not? Just started printing this week and I'm wondering if I should scrap what I have and start over with new models. Oh man, that is the frank truth. The ones that I would... Are you talking... Okay, I guess this means both digital and in physical space. If you truly want to make sure that you're not going to have any sort of issue at all in the physical space, I would first try it, and then if it doesn't work, you update it. Because I really have tried my absolute best to not break compatibility here. The main ones that have really changed that I think, if you really want long-term wise to make sure everything works nicely, is obviously the brackets. It is probably the pegs and hooks, because the pegs and hooks are, I don't know if we've done it just yet, but they're coming like literally within the next 24 hours. It just took, I've been working relentlessly to the point that, what is it, 2 days ago I almost felt like I was going to burn out, and then I was just like, no, I'm going to take it easy now. I've got to just slow it down a bit. But yeah, if you have like your own digital archive of all of the files, I truly and honestly believe to just scrap it and re-download the digital files, because man, I personally do not use my own digital archive. It's too complicated. I'd much rather use the part library. Especially the beta part library is much better. It's now open. Yes, not absolutely everything is in there just yet, but we're working relentlessly to get that up on there. So yeah, I would update your digital files, and the physical ones, honestly, it should work. And the main ones that I think you might want to update is probably bin shells. Yes, they're a heck of an investment, but it's this large bar here compared to just adding 2 pins to hold things up here. That large bar, it's actually insane. Just one of these can hold, what was the test amount? I have a video somewhere. I'm going to share a whole bunch of testing footage in the future, but this one was like 16 kilograms of force holding this downwards. And I know some of you are going to be wondering, okay, well, he's talking about testing and the weight. The weight bearing of one of these is astronomical. I actually haven't been able to find the limit yet, which is why I'm not really sharing it, but I can tell you so far I've been able to put all of my dumbbell weights on it, which is a total of 46 kilos, and it did not budge. Now, I'm not saying, hey, yeah, go ahead, go jump on this. No, it's not made for that. In fact, I've got an entire, am I going to show this right now? Yeah. This was the testing setup that I have here, which is sort of this folded hook, so that it's just literally holding on one bit here, and then I put that on there, and then I pulled down on that, and that's what held that 46 kilos. So, gosh, come on, come out, there it is. Whoops. And that comes on out. Yes, I'm well aware of the little bump upwards problem. There is a fix to that. I'm not happy with the design just yet. It seems a bit rough and rudimentary, so we're going to get to that in a minute. Okay. Way people are printing, question. Will the Blender tile generator be updated to reflect the new tiles? The Blender tile generator. The real question is, I don't think we need the Blender tile generator to reflect the new files, because we now have the advanced tile generator, and the advanced tile generator does everything the Blender tile generator can, and also has no real limit. I can get that updated, however, it is a real pain to do, and especially the new sort of add-on side of things. But if that is like a truly highly requested thing, I will get it made. It will be an entire add-on rather than just a node-based thing, and then we'll take it from there, because it gets really complicated when you add all of these snaps into the side of the tiles. Question, how do I create a triangular board tile? I am under a sloped roof. A triangular board tile. Well, triangular board tile is the advanced tile generator. If you go to the advanced tile generator, you'll be able to click, add a cutaway cube, and you're just able to scale and rotate it and cut it out. There's going to be an entire tutorial of that probably coming in the next week or so. I'm going to be pumping out videos. Like after this live stream, it's just going to be video after video after video after video coming out. It's truly going to be, it's going to be a lot of videos, guys. Like a lot. You've been wanting to hear from me. You're going to hear from me. Okay, then we're going to go, how do you create a triangular board? Questions. Will you update the roadmap, for example, beams apart, extend two part? So the roadmap itself, I'm just going to be real with you guys. The maker community, you guys are too good at making, and the real roadmap. So the idea space that we have internally is honestly about over 300, I think, or at least 150. Maybe 300 is too much, but of ideas that we have in that space. But even if I were to just mention the idea, I'm pretty sure there's some people out there that are just going to go grab the idea, make it, then I'm going to make it, and then people get upset. This has actually happened quite a few times. I'm sure I don't even have to mention them. Many people are using all of them, and I love that they made it. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to make my own version, because I need to make my own version, because that's how we protect the community that's coming here, because then it's all under this sort of a license that's made to be shared in the right way. There's a very long roadmap for what I'm going to be doing in the future with all of this that I can't really say just yet, but trust me, it's going to be incredible, and it's going to change the way we look at the 3D printing space entirely once it's actually built out. It just takes a lot of work to make what I'm trying to make here. So roadmap wise, I will update it very top level though, because if I go and give much more detail, the ideas are going to get stolen, people are going to get ticked off, and then I just don't want to make people feel annoyed because I used an idea or stole an idea. And it's like, I didn't steal it. I've been developing and been working on that idea for months. Yeah, there's lots of ideas that I've literally worked on for months on end. I see someone already make it and I'm just like, well, I'm still making mine, and I'm going to make it as best as I can, and then we're going to go past that till we actually create a proper standardized system that everything feels like connects properly with one another, and it doesn't feel like we're like half baking things or getting things out just too quickly. It's just, it is what it is. Okay, other questions. Update roadmap questions. Is there an official compatibility with Gridfinity? There is the only official compatibility. So, Gridfinity. I love Gridfinity, but I hate Gridfinity at the same time. Because who on earth makes a system with the number that literally is 42, the answer of everything? I have tried relentlessly to try and make that work. And I'm going to just be frank here. The only time that number turns into a problem is when you are using just a 1x1 bin. A 1x1 Gridfinity bin just doesn't work. It's as simple as that. Go anything bigger than a 1x1 and you're going to fit into the space. Yes, of course, a 1x2 is going to fit there, but it will fit if you went a little bit bigger and you went smaller. Honestly, I can't do this because it would affect too many remixes and all the rest, but grab yourself a Gridfinity bin and just lop off the corners and it fits in there. I'm all about standardization. I'm all about making it all work within the 25mm grid. I'm all about bin tops and making the actual bin accessories themselves. Oops, I've got little stoppers in here. Making the actual bin accessories themselves as flexible and modular as they can be, so then you don't have to reprint everything all the time. I know that for some people it's just like, hey, that's the whole point of printing. I want to be able to print everything all the time. It isn't what I want, and it isn't what I want because I'm really, really, really conscious of plastic and the environment and all of that, and without getting preachy about it, I am trying to basically make everything as lower impact as possible. So much so that I am currently batch rendering 14,000 different versions of the tiles, because then that web-based generator doesn't use the compute power of your computer. Instead, it's already a compute that's been done before, and all you have to do is download that. Because ultimately, when thousands of us are using that compute power, it turns into something. So I know it gets a little bit annoying for people, but it doesn't have official compatibility. The only real official compatibility we have is the rail shelves for them. Everything does technically fit in. It's just, if you're wanting the full functionality of the Multibin shell and all the rest, there isn't going to be full compatibility because the dimensions of 42 just don't fit in. Especially between units. That's where things get really quite a bit annoying, unfortunately. And I'm sorry about that. I really have tried relentlessly to try and get that to work. Okay. Then, there's some more questions going on here. I'm going to quickly take a look at the Multiboard community because there were questions put there before this, and I told people that I was going to get to those questions as well. So let's see. Next, using hinges at the end of his videos on the tiles, converting shelves. Was this a multiboard part? Yes, there is. Hold on. Let me just, I've got it here somewhere. 1 second. Where are you? Come to me. Let me just quickly, can I show it? Where are you? Hello? No, I've completely lost it. Can't find it. I was going to give you a little quick sneak peek of the hinges, but yes, we're making full hinges. We're making one-way hinges. We're going to make triple connection hinges. We're going to be making so many different types of cool stuff. It's all coming really soon as well. So that's what I'm really happy about as well. Okay, so that's that aspect. The other question that I had here is Jonathan mentioned Multiboard Simulator, which is under deep development. Multiboard Simulator, yeah, it is it is very much under development. It is very complicated. It is very extensive, and it's going to be very cool because it's going to be opening up some incredible doors for the community as a whole. And then let's go and take a look at what other questions are going on here. Toronto question. I've got a multi-board wall offset using the original quad offset screwed to the drywall with the anchors. Is there an easy upgrade to use the flush Bs? As I mentioned, just use the normal flush Bs, just single ones everywhere, and you'll be just fine. Then we've got, given the vast number of parts and the options of multi-things, I found it useful to group parts that I use together into kits. For instance, after the video yesterday, I put together a couple of plates containing parts of a 4x3 bracket. All of it, yes, I completely understand what you're saying. These little bundles, these little learning bundles, these packs, these like kits that are a shelf, this, that, 100% coming. Now that we've got to this point here, I cannot emphasize enough how long I've been working to get to this point right here. It has literally been, God, it's probably tens of thousands of hours now put into this. And it's all been accumulating to this point right now, where the system now takes that little click and is now going to drop in, and then everything, I'm sure you're aware, but now that we've changed from an organization system to a building system, this just takes a whole new twist. This is no longer just organization. This is an ecosystem. This is everything. By the way, just a little heads up, you don't actually need anything in this space. You can just use these and connect other things into it. That's why we have all these lovely blanks that are around, that sort of a framework, so to speak, to build with. But yeah, I've been working tirelessly to get to this point. The Multiboard team has been working tirelessly to do this. It's been really tough on us, and we're probably going to take a holiday in some point in the future, and we're very much going to be making all of those. I think someone once told me they're calling them snack packs. So there's just sort of little packs that make things, and what's really interesting and what I'm planning to do in the future is they're going to be customizable. So that way you're able to be like, oh, that pack is exactly what I want. Well, actually, you just need to change a couple of numbers and boom, it's done. I'm hoping to go as far as like putting your plate size, put in, if you're wanting different colors, you click it and oh, boom, you'll have it. It's all of that is coming. It just, development is a very both costly and time-consuming thing. So we're going to get to that for sure. Let's see, what other, maybe not possible, more model. Okay, question, sorry, not formatted. When you use the Multibin plate divider, only, people have seen it. The Multibin plate divider, where have I put that piece? It is here, here. I tried to not mention this much, but let's get there. Let's get there. So let me get nice and close here to show you guys what's going on here. So Multibin plate. My words just lost there. And then we have the divider, and then we have this here. So what happens is you plop that into there, or you click it into here, and then from there, this tool just makes life easier. So you can just basically just put it there, and it's going to be in the right height. And then you just twist this, click, and that's it. Now that's twisted there. Now what on earth is this? Because this is completely different than anything else we've seen before. These holes are what I like to call mini snaps, because they are not the same size as a snap. Here is a snap, and this here is a mini snap. You can see they are smaller in nature, and that's basically it. It is impossible to get one of these in there, because this is a 50 by 50, these are 25 by 25. If we try to fit it in there, you literally wouldn't have the material to hold it. However, with a mini snap, these little guys right here, they have one hook on one side there, You put it up to one side and you press it down. We also have the small thread mini snap, which you're able to put to one side. Oh, by the way, that's already now locked in place. But you put this over to one side, you press it in. We have, let's just put one more in here. And then there's another one here that doesn't have any snap to it at all, no corner bit at all. And that's specifically made for the bottom of a bracket. So then you can put that in and then press that bottom one in. So it still has the weight bearing, just not the outer weight bearing. Only this one has the outer weight bearing. And then that goes into here. Now do be aware, this last one is always the highest friction because the main tolerance here is actually within the wiggle of this one, and there is 0 tolerance on the mini snaps. They eat up the tolerance. So if you want the strongest setup, I would always suggest to put in as many mini snaps into this. This is sort of making your own custom tile snap, tile plate snap into here. So that is that. There is a lot coming into this. Everything that is, well, what's funny is everything that works on this already works on here, but we're also going to be making a whole bunch of stuff that works on here as well, because this is sort of something that you put on top, so you want to have even extra or more functionality. We have a lot more space to play with as well here, so that's that. I'm just going to reread the question on circle, because I might have misread it. Let me just see. With the multi-bin plate divider over a plate snap, what is the difference between them? I think that I just said. And also confused why you use bolt locking to mount multiboard to the wall instead of just a snap. Is there increased strength? No, the main reason why I use bolt locks here is rather than just a snap. So I think what they're talking about here is why am I not using the part A, part B? Because you cannot get the part A to work with this one. The bolt locking system is made to be completely cross-compatible between both the plate and the tile. So that's why that change there. And in the 005 update video, you mentioned everything that was bolt lock will move to locking bolts when best fits. What's the difference between a bolt lock? Well, okay, bolt locks and locking bolt and bolt, lock. What exactly? Okay. So the main difference is bolt locking is a concept. So this right here, the idea of using a bolt to lock a snap onto there, that is a concept. Ignore this. This could be whatever. That concept is a bolt lock. A bolt locking bolt is this one that is specifically designed only to do this. It's not a multi-point. It's not anything else. So this is a locking bolt. That's what this is. The locking bolt does bolt locking. We're trying our best to move everything that is multi-point to this as well. But the issue is that we do have some pieces that have teeny tiny spaces, and the only space you can put in there to bolt lock something to it is a small thread multi-point. Now the small thread multi-point, in my extensive testing, well, you already know, I am able to put a lot of weight on it. You've seen the shelf with the 15 kilo weight on it, and I've actually pulled on that this way, downwards, up to about 26-ish before it starts to make a weird noises, and I don't want to really test it to break it. But if you actually do this the other way and you rip it out this way, well, ripping it out, they only hold about 7 kilos, and I wasn't really happy with that. And the entire head of the multi-point would just shear off, and the failure point was right there in between the head and the thread. So the thread was the failure point, and I was like, this needs to be better when we go into the ongrid update. So that's why we now have this new thread. The fun thing about this new thread is that it works within the mid space of these. So if you want a really strong connection, you can use these locking bolts. So bolt locking is a concept, locking bolt is a part. We might have to rename that. And by the way, suggestions in the community if you think there's a better name for that. But yes, that's the difference of what exactly is going on there. Bolt locking is a concept, a locking bolt is a part. Okay, so let me take a little look. Okay, we still have a whole hour. So I'm going to give a rest with the questions for now. I hope that's okay. Actually, let's see. There's a few from Jesse Jones here on the Multiboard community. I'll rapid fire them and see. Out of all the Multiboard remixes and projects you've seen, which ones did you like best? Which ones were the most unexpected? I love that you mentioned that one. It was literally today. If you go to the Reddit, Multiboard Reddit, by the way, there is a thing there as well. Someone created a Multiboard spool. And that is one of the most cursed and beautiful things I've ever seen. That one's really funny. But the other one that was completely unexpected is, again, it's on Reddit, which is the Multiboard cart. Someone's created an entire cart, like a wheelie cart, just made out of Multibin gels. I did not expect that. That was beyond anything that I had in mind. I'm amazed that they were able to build it before the ongrid update. Now that the ongrid update has happened, wow, they're going to really take that to another level. By the way, there's still a lot I need to tell you about the beam, so that's that. What made you come up with Multiboard in the first place? I'm not going to go into a big long spiel about that one. If you want to find out the full story of where Multiboard came from, go to the next layer, Jonathan there. I did a live stream with him about a year ago now, where I went into the full history. But long and the short of it, rapid fire here is I saw a Kickstarter that created a board that I thought could be made in 10 seconds. I'm going to bring the functionality of that to the honeycomb wall. I added threads to the honeycomb wall snap. I realized the honeycomb wall snap sucks. And then that's when I went, okay, well, if I'm going to add a thread to the honeycomb wall itself to make this work better, what other things can I change? And then from there, the best that I can explain it is incredible feature creep and over-engineering. That's it in a nutshell. And then the last question here from Jesse Jones is, right now, some aspects of Multiboard are not available for remixing, i.e. clips, similar plates, magnet hole. Will these remain the case? When you say not available for remixing, I'm gathering you're saying in Fangs it doesn't have the remix button. Okay, that remix button in Fangs, honestly, you can ignore it. What I would say is my license that I have placed on everything, you can do remixes. Do I encourage remixes right now? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm sort of not encouraging it because long-term plan-wise, I am going to create something that is honestly going to change the game, how remixes and Multiboard and everything interact. So you can, by all means, do remixes. You need to make remixes to make things happen so that you can get as much use out of it. But just be aware that come year, 2 years, I have no idea. It's a very big, very big project. All of those remixes, I just hope you re-upload them in this really cool manner that's going to supercharge things to another level altogether. So that's why. And also, because, you know, I was also trying to stop remixes because of this on-grid shift, because now, unfortunately, everything with threads, everything with the old bolt lock, everything that has the part Bs, everything that has a non-flush thread, everything that has a raised snap, everything that's using the old bin shell, everything that's using that is now no longer fully like locked in and feeling solid. It's now going to be just a little bit off. And that, I hate that. I truly hate that, because that is what superpowers this community, is the remixes. But at the same time, it's one of those things of, I had to get the system out because you'll learn in the live stream with Jonathan, I almost didn't make it to the end of the month living wise, and I had to get Multiboard out, and I was like, well, let's see if it will work. And then thankfully it did work, and then from there I've been able to develop it into the monster that it is now. But yeah, so we're finally getting, honestly, I believe this year is like, we've been in development, new changes everywhere, all the rest, but now we're coming to this like plateau. And what I mean by plateau is, I mean more of a plateau of stability, not growth and development. But there's this plateau of stability that's just about coming right now, where you know that all this stuff is now fixed. And I will say it right now, that there is, at hopefully a point in the next year, a big sort of version 1 update's going to come. And what I mean by version 1 update is all of the parts all the parts that I truly believe in that are where they are going to get locked in. And what I mean by that lock in, I mean I will not change them. And what that non-changing aspect means is I will literally add a part number to every single part. So then if you ever have this file that's randomly out there somewhere and you're like, what on earth is it? Again, you're not going to see it on the actual part. The part number would be really small. You would basically open up the STL, the step, whatever it is, it's going to have the number on it. You're going to be able to go to the search in the beta part library, put in that number, bam, you'll see it where it belongs, what things work with it, all the rest. Honestly, it's going to be crazy, but that's what I'm working up to. We're working up step by step to get to this crazy point of everything up there. Okay, let's go and play with, I meant step format in the parts library. So step format in the parts library, again, it's because I've been trying to stop remixes. I've been trying to stop remixes. The step format makes it far too easy for what I would call low quality remixes to happen. And when low quality remixes come and flood the market and then everything goes everywhere, you think things look complicated right now? Trust me, if I were to open this up to the point of true openness, you would have Gridfinity, honeycomb wall, every other system times 10, and then everyone's just gonna, it would just be I don't want this to be a Wild West. I'm trying to really create a beautiful environment for us all to play some crazy creation games. It just takes time to make, and I'm just hold on with me. I promise you, it's crazy stuff. And already, I hope I've shown and I've proved that everything that I say, I do hold myself to, and I am bringing it up. First one that I do want to say, though, right now, of holding myself up to it, is the Wiki and documentation. Because what on earth, right? I said it in the last update. Why is it not out now? You said everything else that was in that last video is out. Why is it not out? It's not out because of the blackout in Spain. It's as simple as that. The dev team there have had, honestly, well, it's two things. The blackout in Spain has made everyone over there, unfortunately, had a bit of a hard time. And then the other thing is the CMS that we're creating integrates with an official Multiboard account, which means anyone and everyone is going to be able to help with the wiki itself. It has to go through approval, of course. It's sort of like GitHub. It's not GitHub. It's a lot easier than GitHub. I'm wanting this to be that anybody can basically go, oh, I found this really cool thing. I want to suggest it in. I go to the page, you hit edit, you put in the suggestion, you request it, and that's it. You don't need to know anything about GitHub. It's just going to be like, oh, bam, 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 bam. I've added an image and all the rest. It's going to be so much. It's going to be awesome. But that just, it's crazy. I'll let you know, for the nerdy ones of you, we're using Docusaurus, so it's going to be a lot of good fun there. And that means that it's sort of really quite open space to do a whole bunch of stuff, and it's quite modern UI, so we're going to be able to make it look pretty and all the rest. Okay, I'm going to get on with the rest of this list because there is way too much happening Here. So let me talk you through the beams, because I did not give you enough information of the beams, and that is the next thing on my list here. So let's go close up. Let's grab ourselves a beam right here, and you might be wondering what on earth is going on here. There's so many things happening. So let's break this down. Let me grab one of the smaller ones so I can bring this up, and let's take a look. What on earth is everything going on here? So, you know, we have the small threads. That's as a small thread is, every 12.5 millimeters. We have the snaps in there. The snaps, the dual clip holes, and we have the new light dual clip that just lets you clip things in, and there you have it, and you can pull it out. Now, I'm telling you, this is going to sometimes break. So when that does break, because it will 100% break, use a 1.5 millimeter Allen key, and there is a little tiny hole in here, and that tiny hole is made specifically to go in here. You go to one side, you give it a little push, you go to the other side, you give it a little push, and then it'll come out. That also works with the super strong ones of these. Now you're wondering, okay, that's how it works for those. What about this one? Does that have it? It does. There's a hole down there. You have to come at an angle from over here, and then you'll be able to get to one side. You have to wiggle to get in, but you'll see that the Allen key, let's see if you see it. Come on. The Allen key is in there, so you're able to push that up. Okay, so that's that. Now what on earth are these? Because that's a bit weird. Well, for the astute of you that know the 3D printing space pretty well, you probably recognize these as 2 millimeter holes. And that means you get yourself some filament, you whack the filament in, you grab yourself a clip and you put that in. And now let me grab another clip, because I want to show you why this exists. So I'm going to add another light clip, and we're going to put it in here. Oh, that is not a light clip. Don't do that, Jonathan, because then I'm going to need a tool to get it out. Here it is, a light clip. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to grab another one of these. I'm going to clip it in. So now, with that, without filament, this twists quite a bit. And I don't want that. So if you don't want that either, you go with filament. You put the filament to filament here, filament to filament into there. You clip it, and then that stops as much of the rotation. Now, if you really want to take this to really the next level, that hole of the filament goes all the way through. Let me just push this filament all the way through, all the way through. So this could technically be steel wire, a steel rod. 1.5 millimeter works perfectly with this. You can also, and what is going to be coming, is a dual clip with a little hole in it. So when you put the dual clips in and you thread this in through there, that's locked. That is locked in. Again, it's going to be one of those of at your own caution, of course, do that. And that's what all of these holes here on this side. Let me show you that as well, because we've got a whole bunch of holes here as well. And all of those holes, the little ones, are for filament to go in and pop out this way. And then the big ones, I'm sure you've already gathered, is to grab and push out the clips. So you go to one side, you go to the other side, they pop out. So that's that right there. I'm sure you're going to be able to do a whole bunch of other fun stuff there. Technically, you could put Cat6 wire through these as well if you're wanting to do some really crazy electronics projects with this. It's going to get wild what you guys are going to create. Okay, so that is all the information of the beams for right now, is letting you know what all those little holes are all for and all of that good stuff. Let me just talk about one other thing while we're on the beams, which are the plates. So we have lots of plates. Let me go close again to just show you properly. This here, this is what I call a slim plate. It is just, we do have blank plates, which is the full thickness for you to do whatever you want with, but the thin ones, this is 2 millimeters here, and this one here is a completely blank one. The truth is I've now changed my mind, and now we have two versions of these. We have one that has these holes up at the top of it, and another one that has the holes on the bottom. And you now know those are for removing the dual clips, because I don't want to make your life harder with these dual clips, but the dual clips are a necessity, so there they are. So that's what, this one doesn't have it. This one though, this is a high density small thread plate. That one has it right in here. There is both high density, mid density, and low density. The low density goes to the 50s of plates. The mid density is for tiles, and the high density is basically holes absolutely everywhere, every 25 in every direction, however you want that to be. So there are more plates coming, a lot more plates coming actually, but to begin with, I think that's a good fundamental of how many plates there are out there. And let's see, let's go to the list. I just want to make sure that I'm doing this. So we've got the border tiles, the beams, the dual clip, the light dual clip, the end caps. Ah, yes, let me show you. The end caps I have right here. Let me go close once again for you. So the end caps that are right here, they just go on and off. Exactly the same. You understand now how that works. And there is a lot of fun things that can be done with this, like already just getting this set up here. And let me just move the camera up a little bit here. Move up, please. Up, 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 up. Thank you. We can grab sort of this frame here, and you put that on there. And imagine this was some sort of PC setup and you wanted to do venting. Well, that's now like the feet of it in place just like that. So there's a lot of good stuff. That does technically break the grid, just be aware of that. So yeah, there's a lot of the grid coming on from this, because you're now, there's times that you're off grid, you're on grid, you are going to be on the 12.5 millimeter grid, which means you are 1/2 unit away, or you're 1/2 unit in. Honestly, you don't have to worry about it. Most of it will become second nature once you play around with it, I promise. Once you start playing with it, it all just starts to make sense. Okay, that was that one. Multibin plates, the new Multibin shell. The shell to plate bar clip pin. I've already talked about that one. The plate dividers, the snaps, the mini snaps. I have done all of that. Now there is one new, well, not a part, new part. It's this one here, the panel. It used to be called the panel to tile lock. I'm not 100% sure what it's been renamed to now, but this tiny little guy right here. So this is basically just a little sort of small bolt that is specifically designed for you to be able to screw these together. So you can go here, you put that in. We're gonna grab a small coin here. Oh, the coin isn't working. Why is the coin not working? Do I have the 2mm Allen wrench? So I thread that in. That should be working. I don't know why that's not working. Oh, this must be an old version. So once you thread that through, you'll see that this is now just sort of loose in there because the top bit is shanked. And then this is now just going to be able to screw right into that bottom bit as well. So I'm just going to use my nails for now to screw this in. And there you have it. That's it now screwed in. It's going to be, oh, it's not fully screwed in. There we go. There we go. Now it's screwed in, and because we've done this new chamfer to everything, this is now perfectly nice and flush to everything. Now, if you're going to be using this, I strongly suggest you fill this up everywhere, because they do not, it's not that they don't take a lot of weight, it's that I wouldn't trust something so small with so much flex to be able to hold more than about maybe 4-ish kilos on that. And when I talk forces, I talk the worst case scenario. We're pulling this out. Weight-wise this way, it's going to hold quite a bit. So, okay, that was that one. Then the snaps. Let's quickly talk about the snaps because there's not really too much to talk about them, but there is a little bit to just say. We've already covered it a little bit, but I just want to show it in action here because there are a few things that I just want to show. So let me grab this one, maybe not the hook one, because the hook one, there we go. Let's go with the weight bearing one and that lovely bit here, and actually here's a normal snap. Perfect, let me just quickly back in. There, nothing fell onto the floor. I don't know what you're talking about. So from here, let's grab ourselves a tile to show that. Will that undo if I just flick it around a whole bunch? Yeah, perfect. And now let's go nice and close. So, flush snaps, that's the main change here. So we've got a weight bearing flush snap. You put that in, you go in and you press, and that is going to be completely flush. As you see, that is as flush as it gets. So we've got that, we've got a normal snap here, which I can go flush like that, and that does it there. Now keep in mind that if you're going to be using this with these brackets, you're going to have to use this upside down to make it work well. But again, I don't think that's going to be the best way to do things. I think best way to do things is going to be more sort of a use this new little guy. This is the large thread to mid hole, and this way there isn't sort of a directionality. You just need to screw that in. You can use, actually you know what, I might as well just use what I want to use, which is just a peg as a tool. So that just lets me screw this in a lot easier, and then get that to there to line up properly. Now this, it depends on your tolerances here, how much you're going to have to tighten this or loosen it, but there you have it. When it gets to the point, it's going to be like that, and then you're able to use this in there like so and do the exact same bolt locking with a locking bolt. Oh goodness, I understand the confusion now because it's basically the exact same name just flipped round. So those are the snaps that are going on there. I'm trying to quickly go through this to then go through all of the other questions that I have here. Weight bearing, mid hole, all the DS snaps apart from the VHB tape and the command strip ones have already been updated. And there is one new actual DS snap, which I think many of you have actually been wanting, which is this little guy. Let me show you. This little guy right here. Yes, that is what you think it is. This is a flush part A. So if you want to be able to mount a tile flush to, you can do it this way as well. Of course, if you're doing this, the key difference of why this even exists is it means that you don't have to unscrew the metal screw to get this off. And then you use the flush part B. We line this up. I'm just going to put it flat on the ground here. Make sure that I'm in the right one. I think it's the other way around. And make sure that I clip this in properly. Hold on. I need to make sure that this is right. Yeah, there it is. No, it's not. You had it right. You were right, Jonathan. You clip that in, and then that now is flush with the small thread. And now if you ever want to take that out, you'll see you have a tiny little gap there, so you can grab yourself a 0.5mm Allen wrench. You can put it into that gap, and you can just crank on that upwards, and then you do the same on the other side. It's hard to do this while I can't actually see things. And then that's how you get these little guys out. I'm not going to actually do this while I'm so close and just hanging this up in the air. But yeah, you just basically get this in there. You then are able to crank this up and out and get it out. One side and the other side. Come on. I know you can do it. You have been tested thoroughly to do this. So It always happens. Has to be on recordings, right? There we go. And that's how you get them out. And then that way, if you keep the screw in the wall, this can pop back out, and there you have it. So you can change these up. Now, changing them up might not really work for you that well, because again, the cross compatibility of these depends if you want to change it up and how you want to change it up. Okay, I think that is that. That is the part A's, the flush, the part A is the locking bolt, the bolt lock, blah, 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 blah. The new countersink. So, as Mandic really pointed out, really obviously to me, there was a big design flaw that I didn't really think about at the time, which was when you're screwing in, if you're using screws that are just a little bit too big for the current countersink, well, the old countersink ones, which used to be a screw that you screw in the back of a snap, they would unscrew themselves, and that was really annoying. So now we have this new countersink holder here. So let me show you the close of this. The close-up of this one is this little guy here. This just pops inside of one of those, and that's it. It is a countersink. Just be aware that this one is specifically made for the new thicker head ones. We do have the other ones as well, the ones for flush snaps and all the rest. So if you want to mount things just through snaps, you can do that as well. So that is the new countersink. As you see, that has a little slit in it. It opens up. It really holds on nicely now. So Mandic, if you want to change up your wall, Alan, if you want to change up your wall, just be aware that that's the fix. I'm sorry for the pain you had to deal with beforehand. Locking bolts, bolt lock nuts, that's that. Updated there. Updated brackets we've talked about those. The tile joint, I've talked about that as well. Some other less important things, mid-thread multipoint. You've all been telling me about the mid-thread multipoint. It's out, okay? It's out. It's what's this little thing, man. This little thing. So let me do a close-up here. The mid-thread multipoint. So this is a light one, but this little guy is the one that made sure that I did the chamfer update on all the snaps and all the rest. So the chamfer update, just to be super clear with you, was that all of these snaps now have a 1mm chamfer here on the front. Before they used to be 0.4 or something like that. So this now, it has the correct chamfer so that it will lock properly into one of these. Because before, if you tried to do this, it wasn't going to work correctly, and I wanted you to have the correct way of doing this. Before, that was not possible. It would just carry on going, and that is incredibly annoying. So especially when a multipoint is actually sort of dependent a little bit on the rotation of itself, and I wanted to make sure that that was no longer on you. It was more based on the design. So that's come out, the mid-thread multipoint. Anything else? Nope, that's been docked. We talked about the pegs, we talked about the hooks, we talked about VHB tape, and a few multipoint threads. Oh yeah, the multipoints, all of the multipoints that have threads have also been updated to fit and fix and interact with a new thinner tile. So that's the only other thing that's happened there. The list is done. Oh, honestly, that list touched about 80% of the system. I'm sure you can almost see how it touched 80% of the system. Most of it isn't going to ever affect you in any way, even if you are using the old parts, the new parts, the new parts, and the old parts, but I had to make sure that everything was working out correctly. So that's that. Okay, I'm finally going to get to questions. So sorry for the delay. Let's go. If you have questions now, go put them in the chats, be it the community chat, be it the other chat. I've just realized I've only been looking at top. I should have just looked at the live chat. So I'm sorry, guys. I've not been looking at what's going on there. So do show it all up. Remember, put your question with big question first and then the question itself. I'm going to go back up to where the last round of questions happened. I should be able to go back. And dun 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 dun. Where is the other one? Okay, there's a question here of how far is the minimum offset from the wall? How far do the hooks extend past the back of the plate? I want as smaller offset as possible to still be able to use the hooks. As in, when you're saying hooks, I gather you're talking about the peg click hooks. The only reason why you have an offset is for cable management behind it. Some other cool things that are going to be coming in the future, and to let the peg click. I think I got one here. No, here. No. I've got one here somewhere. You would think that would be a little bit more organized. The guy who actually built an organization system, but you can imagine things have been crazy. I've moved spaces and all the rest. But yeah, there it is. The peg click. Ugh, this lovely little thing. Well, if you actually just grab this and put it in and whack it in there, that sticks out on the back 3 millimeters. The reason why it is 8 millimeters is because I looked and basically averaged out so Ethernet cables, their heads, HDMI cables, USB cables, and the dual prong cables, and the 9-volt cables and 12-volt cables, to be able to put them behind, and you just flex these a little bit to put it behind. That's why it's 8 millimeters. If you want to go less than 8, by all means do. Just be aware that pegboard accessories, they use a lot more space behind a board. I found that 8 millimeters was the one that worked best, but I do even have some pegboard accessories that will not work with the 8 millimeter offset itself, and it's really quite annoying there. So yeah, if you want to go absolute minimum, we're going to do these teeny tiny offsets that you're going to be able to just quickly edit those if you really want that. Then let's see, we've got another question here. Question, how far is the minimum offset? There was a question elsewhere. I've missed out a whole bunch of questions, guys. I'm sorry. What is the business model? I guess that is a question. What is the business model? The business model is quality of life. For now. There is some other really cool things that are coming business model wise way in the future when we create something absolutely astronomically different that no one's ever seen before. That's what's taking so long to make. But even then, that's just groundbreaking stuff. So right this minute, quality of life. It's as simple as that. I'm going to be making a whole bunch of packs right this minute. Nobody else is allowed to make any type of pack out there. If I do see packs and people resharing the core files themselves, I do DMCA takedowns because it goes against the license. It's as simple as that. It doesn't mean that in the future things are not going to change. And man, there's something. So I'm going to be perfectly honest and frank here right now, which is there are things that I'm not allowed to say because my lawyer won't let me say it. It won't, because it comes from me, it rewrites the terms. But I do feel like it's important to mention something, which is lots of people get hot and bothered about the revocability of a license. I'll be perfectly frank with you. Creative Commons is unrevocable because it's not a license, it's a policy. It is actually incredibly constricting onto many projects if you want to do things with them, unless you just make them incredibly open. And at that point, it can really be hard to do anything with anything at all. But the revocability, the reason why the multiboard license is revocable is not so that I can rug pull you or do anything crazy like that. It's actually so that I can update it for the sake of the health of the system. So I cannot update and let everyone know about the updates, because the system is free. And because the system is free, by law, whenever you change any type of license, you need to let everybody know about the license. However, if the license is revocable, you can do this crazy thing, which is basically in a click, I just go revoke, put the new one in. That is how it is by law, like literally. Like that is one of the key things about it. That's the only reason why it's revocable. I even tried. I was talking to the lawyer that felt like taking this on, because after I don't know how many lawyers, 16 lawyers it was now, that one was the one that was just like, hey, look, this is how it works. You don't really get a say in it. This is how it has to work if you want to work within the bounds of the law. So that's it. It's as simple as that. Anybody who is doing other types of ways of doing that, unless you literally are able to send emails out to everyone, which I don't have everyone's email, I just let anybody and everyone play around with this. That's how it plays out. There's a few other things that I'm hopefully going to be talking to a few other people to be able to talk about it rather than me, because I can't actually talk about it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's here for you. The main reason why is I want to be able to protect everyone's remixes. I want to be able to protect the community as a whole. I've already had representatives of IKEA. I've already had representatives of other very big brands that basically gone, hey, yeah, I just want to just sort of take this and use it and that's it. And I'm just like, hold on, that's not how this works. Everyone here, all of this and all of that is protected. So yeah, I'm fighting a hell of a battle at the moment with many people, but just I'm here for you guys. It's as simple as that. The development and growth of Multiboard is astronomical. It's actually so much bigger than most people actually think it is. Just because I've been quiet doesn't mean that it isn't being just exploding. I cannot wait for the future of what's going to come. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So let me carry on going down here. Again, any questions, feel free to give them and we'll go from there. Stuff flying everywhere. Oh man, thank you, David T. It really means so much. So we've got the coin, maybe adding a coin edge to existing parts. Is there anything? Questions? Blackjack Duck. When it comes to the dev here of underwear and multi-connect generators, give it the changes. Honestly, just take a look at the whole of the live stream. At the end of the day, it's only mainly 2-ish changes, which is the board is now 6.2, sorry, it is now 6.2 millimeters thick, and the threads are now 3.125. It's as simple as that. Also, everything is now flush. It's a simple, it's sort of, that's the standard that's going on here. Questions. Also, any features you think we should add to work well or take advantage of the new parts? Oh man, any features right now that jump for taking advantage of the new parts? Honestly, let your creativity go crazy. There's a lot of crazy ideas coming up next, and I don't want to mention them, as I said why I don't want to mention them earlier on. But everything is now made to work well with everything, like super duper well, and even going on and off of the grid, and everything is just everything's just clicked into place now. So I would say from this point onwards, things are a lot, as I mentioned before, a lot nicer when it comes to like working with the community and remixes and hopefully the longevity of everything. But again, we're not at that version 1 lock-in. Till that version 1 lock-in, it's sort of a remix at your own risk, that sort of experience. Okay, Other questions, people. Guys, prefix your questions with question. Yes, please, because without question, I cannot see anything. Okay, but I started playing around with the system. Oh, I've got a question. How's my back doing? So, how's my back? My back, man, it is doing so much better. So come, if you don't know, about three. Okay, let's get personal here for a moment. About 4 months ago. So why has there been such a delay in a lot of things? It's been a lot of things. A lot of personal things have happened. People have passed away. People have had a lot of strong problems with their health and things, and that put a lot of stress on me, as well as trying to get all of this happening at the same time. So I basically decided, you know what, I'm going to concentrate on the development of the system, ignore the videos and all the rest going on. I need to finish up to get to this ongrid stage, and that's what I basically focused on. I focused on that hard, and then in that I also got incredible back pain but a few months back, and I was literally almost in bed for a month. I had horrible back pain. The funny thing was, it was both a back pain, a nerve pain, and shingles. So I got shingles, which was affecting a nerve in my back, but really, it was horrible. And then after that, it got cured, I got sorted out, and then slowly through basically just a little bit of rehab and stretching, I got to the point of finally not having that problem again. In fact, you can see right this minute, I'm using one of these fun saddle seats. So that helps my back a whole bunch. On top of that, I'm now doing 2 hours of walking. I'm doing working out every day. I've increased my activity tenfold, and that's made things a lot better. My back, thankfully, hasn't been an issue now for 3 months. But yeah, I went through a really tough time, really tough time a few months back with how I was with my back. But it's all good now, and that really helped. Okay, let's see. We've got questions. I'm super into system. If I get a commercial license, can I print your designs for local customers as long as I credit your YouTube channel? Commercial license, honestly, you can, if you are going to sell the physical thing, you get yourself your commercial license, and then you're able to sell the physical thing. If you're just going to help someone around the house, you don't need to. Of course, it's just the physical thing. That there is one massive thing I need to mention when it comes to the commercial license, multiboard, remixes, and all of that. The commercial license does not, and I repeat this, does not give you the okay to use remixes in a commercial aspect. You have to ask every single person who's done a remix if you can use their remix. This is why I always try and make official multi-board versions of things, because then multi-partners don't have to deal with that pain. So that's ultimately why, and that's also why there's that remix clause that you need to, like, if it is a remix of multiboard, it is so that you feel comfortable and fine or happy, or just giving you the heads up that, hey, if you created something amazing, it very much looks like multiboard and very much looks like it is how it is, and I was going to go that direction anyway, I'm going to remix it, change it, adapt it, and make it to an aspect that I think is going to best fit. Now, many times around, I've already started working on that, and I had no idea you even made it, which is quite annoying in many aspects. But yeah, just be aware that remixes are not under the commercial license. Only multiboard parts themselves are under the commercial license. And yes, go for it. If you think there's some people that would love a whole bunch of multiboards, you just pay for that commercial license. It is a monthly thing, and you're able to sell until you make like 50,000 a year from it. And at that point, you just send me a message, and then we just have a chat, because rather than you paying that much, I would just say, hey, we're just going to do a little cut that basically would be the same sort of rate that is happening, which is like an 0.01%. but it's just, it grows with you. Something like that would happen. I'm not entirely sure on it. There are a few, again, I told you I've been talking to people like IKEA and stuff that I've been stopping because they very much just want to take this and just not really help anyone anywhere. So yeah, and by the way, it's not actually IKEA, it's representatives of the manufacturing people that work with companies like blah, blah, blah. So I retract what I said of the word IKEA. People listening, it's more just other very big companies that use the same manufacturers as the people of that. Okay, then let's see, we've got a question there. Then there's a question, been downloading parts to build my bracket. Do the corner parts count as L? So far, a high bracket side. Do I use a 4L and a 3L bracket? I'm a little bit confused by that question. I'm not entirely sure about that question, sorry. The next one, I want to create a 1.20 m by 258 shelf, whoa, for displaying prints. Would the plain plates be the best way to do that? I mean, probably. So I would say the plain plates with the clips on the sides, and we're going to really soon have what I like to call the I-beams, and the I-beams just let you click like that, and we're going to have versions of these that have the mid-thread hole. So yeah, you would just be able to put a bracket up like this, then you're going to be able to have that in there and go and go and go and go and make it as long as you want. So yeah, that might be the best way. And also what's fun is that if you use the slim ones, you can then have just this as your top side as well. So it uses less, it doesn't really use less material that much or less time. It's quite funny when it comes to infill how little it uses. But yeah, it might be the best way. And just, I would say, wait about a week for the I-beams and they'll be out, and then you'll be able to create everything you're wanting. Other questions. Are you developing multiboard designs in Blender or which app? So, I am still doing a fusion of Blender and Fusion 360. There are many things Blender can do much better than Fusion 360, and there's many things that Fusion 360 can do that are better than Blender. But the reason why I really like Blender is I can do lots of things programmatically. Now there is a problem, which is Fusion 360 doesn't play nicely in any way. So lots of things. So creating multiple parts within Fusion 360 utterly sucks. It just crashes. It doesn't work, even if you use configurator, especially when you're dealing with threads and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. It is just not a nice place to be in. With that said, FreeCAD just went into version 1.0. And man, if you don't know, I also have the YouTube channel Keep Making, and I utterly destroyed FreeCAD and made them really pull up their breeches a few years ago. I made many enemies, but at the same time, I think overall, it pushed them into the right direction, and they're there. They're really there. I've now been tinkering in FreeCAD once again, and I have to say, it's a different program. So when Blender had a big shift in update 2.8. Before 2.8, Blender sucked. But then after Blender 2.8, it just skyrocketed. It was amazing. So I believe FreeCAD is right at that point right now. So I'm going to actually be moving to FreeCAD and Blender. And the big reason why is because those two programs can talk to each other through Python. So I'm going to be doing that. That's ultimately what I'm doing. I'm doing FreeCAD and Blender. I still use them both all the time. They're both incredible spaces. They both hold up each other's weaknesses, and just it's a brilliant synergy when you learn both of those together. So other questions. Developing designs. Where is the new flush part snap? well, the new flush part snaps are in the part library. You go into the part library, there is the ongrid update that has all of the new parts, so you don't even have to search anywhere. But a lot of the other places already have it. The beta library doesn't have it yet, unfortunately, because we haven't created the CRM. The CRM? Customer, no. The content management system for the beta library just yet. So Blue Cube, which is the marketer of Multiboard, is unfortunately having to deal with literal numbers and manual connections to everything everywhere at the moment. And yeah, it's been an insane thing to deal with that database, but yeah, we're gonna get there real soon. Real soon. Within the next few months, we're really I've made all these hills of everything everywhere, and right this minute we are at peak complexity. I want to mention that. We're at peak complexity right now. From this point on, I'm just basically coming in and I'm just going to slowly just polish it all down and smooth it so that it is no longer the experience of a box with Lego at a garage sale and then I just throw it in front of you. I'm like, guess what? In there is an F1, a Millennium Falcon, and a roller coaster. Go make it. In the future, it's very much a, here's the F1, here's the Millennium Falcon, here's the roller coaster, go have fun. But right now, it's just a box of parts, and I understand the frustration, but also those of you that really love the challenge are really finding it a lot of fun to just get in there and play with it, and I really, really appreciate you wanting to give it a go while it's still a mess, because it will get simpler, a lot simpler with time, like a lot simpler. The idea is hopefully you're not going to have to deal everything with parts. It's going to be more sort of a pack-based approach. We're also simplifying it so that there's going to be essential parts, which is the essential parts give you like 70% of the functionality of the whole system, yet like you only have to deal with 10% of the complexity of it. So there's a lot coming. Then question, if I've mounted my wall with dual snap offsets with the bolts to the wall, the tiles on that, now that the flush parts are updated, I've actually, Digo Oliveira, I've actually already done that. It is, basically they're cross compatible. You just take off the part B, put on the new single flush part B's, and it'll work just right. It just has the tiny little bit of 0.6 offset, but it doesn't break anything. It still all works. And then we've got questions, more questions going on here. Annoying, keeping up with what's going on. The stuff of admin nightmares, yeah. Question, do you have a problem with Chinese cloners stealing your designs for commercial uses? So, funny that you would mention that, because I'll be frank. The long and the short of it is not yet, because the mold and what's needing to do this, they're incredibly complicated and incredibly expensive. Once the multiboard community probably just grows just a little bit bigger, it's all of a sudden going to become worthwhile for people in the massive manufacturing markets to actually copy the system, which is actually one of the things that's probably about to happen in the next coming weeks is I'm actually updating the license. I'm going to be doing that, revoking and changing it up, which is going to stop injection molding, because there's already an imminent threat of that, and it is not fun because I do not want the community to be taken advantage of like that. And I want to make sure when things go big in that direction that everyone in the community basically profits from it. That's it. That's ultimately it. And the way to do that is to protect us. So that is one of the updates that's actually coming. Am I going to actually be able to legally enforce it? Probably not. But hey, at least I can come to them and be like, hey, what are you doing? And yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll go there and start knocking on doors and be like, hey, what are you doing? So, question. I say, do you have a problem with changing? Here, question. When do you think you will get to version 1? I think we will get to version 1. My gut is saying that I expect the whole system will get into what I've previously referred to as late beta in probably the next 5-ish months. And late beta basically is almost locked in, but what I really want is us to get into that late beta stage, and then once we're in that late beta stage, we just sort of see how things progress for a bit and make sure that nothing that I haven't thought through fully, even though I've tried my best for the last year to think this through fully. And then what we'll do is probably, I would imagine, I'm going to say a date here, but I don't want you to take it to heart. This could be completely off, but maybe on the 2nd year anniversary of Multiboard, which is December 15th. I'm hoping, but I can't guarantee that. But that would be a beautiful thing to do, to actually lock it in at that point. But there is so much work to get to that final stage, especially the part identification and the proper way of doing all of that. Yeah, there's a lot happening. Okay, then we've got, so the question, version 1 question, how do you mount your monitor to the multiboard? Is it attached from multiboard, or does it have its own bracket? Here's a fun thing. When you actually create a system that's based off a standardized unit that is used internationally, like Vesa mount, everything works with it. This is just using your simple drop-in nut or heat insert. I think these are the heat insert ones. Heat insert snaps. Actually, that's one of them that I still need to update a little bit. Just be aware of that, but it's just a tiny little change. And that's it. These are literal normal snaps as well. I have actually had this up on a board using this for over a year. So let me just find the right, there it is. Click. There. Yeah. Now, I would suggest that if you're going to do anything heavier than that, go and probably use at least the weight-bearing snaps, if not the hook snaps. So yeah, or maybe even better is use the hook snaps onto that and then use a setup like this one here with the multi-points to be able to do it, because I know the multi-points can hold a hell of a lot of weight downwards. I've literally, the way that I tested this one, the multi-points, was by lifting up 10 kilo bags of plaster. I just use what I have around to really force the change of things here. Okay, let me see. Questions. I'm curious about the 1-cell height drawer Belshans. If you had a 4-cell deep drawer, how much weight can it store before falling off of the grid? Well, I can tell you this. 1 cell can hold 16 kilos. There you have it. And that is using using the old ones, it's 13 kilos, sorry. Using the new bar, it is 16 kilos per bar. So each bar just on the top does that. You can technically do some other crazy witchcraft to add in other strength on the back of it. But honestly, if you are going to really load this up, you use the multi-points on the back. You just whack basically fully cover and just put one in every single cell. And I would say every single cell of a multi-point there, well, each multi-point I've gathered to hold 10 kilos this way, 7 kilos that way. So if you can put in 16, that's 160 kilos technically. I imagine that your layer lines are going to break sooner before the other ones. So yeah. Okay, we're going to have to end this in 10 minutes time, so let me just quickly rapid fire what I've got left here. So we've got another question. Infill, move to Gyroid for overall better strength after looking at lots of videos. So I completely agree. The print settings I give are very, 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 very top level. I want to be able to facilitate the easiest style of printing. Now, if you want to know my secret, if I was to tell you truly, And what is the best printing? I would say 3 wall perimeters, gyroid, probably 10% gyroid rather than 15% because you don't have to go that dense, but 15% on some parts. I would also go with arachne, depending on the part sometimes. Sometimes you want 2 walls, sometimes you just want 1 wall. And then random seams. But I don't want to give beginners into the 3D space, hey, you want to print multiboard, go and change 6 settings in a software that you've never played before. I feel it's much easier to just be able to, hey, open up your software, just change the walls to this, and you'll be pretty good. If you want to take it one step further, go to random. If I go too deep, it gets too deep. But again, it's one of these things. For those of you that are much deeper into 3D printing, you already know this. You're leaving the comment. So, but when it comes to the wiki, we're going to actually be able to put, hey, we like to keep things simple. Here's the simple. If you want to take it up a notch, here's the one taking it up a notch. But again, I haven't been able to clearly communicate that for a bit, but that's going to be coming. Let's see. Now that flush seems the way, is it worth remounting my board with flush the wall? Will I get better stability and strength? You will get the exact same stability and strength. What you will get is the availability to just be able to very easily mount anything anywhere without having to deal with the raised snaps. That's it. It is the exact same stability and strength. Just the raised snaps don't get in the way. Okay, questions. Have you heard of Play Conveyor's Organizer, Infinity Storage Period? Wondering if you thought about compatibility with a multiboard. So that's a... So no shade thrown on anyone or anything. I specifically actually talked to them. I sent an email to them and they literally told me, we don't want to talk. We don't want to collaborate. We're too busy. We don't want to interact with your ecosystem. So I'm going to respect that. If they don't want that, they don't want it this way. That's how it's going to work. That's how it is. But don't worry. The whole Play Conveyor thing, let's just say we got some really cool things coming. This changes things quite a bit. Yeah, remixers, go remixing. You can do many things, and we are creating whole new drawers to do all that lovely Play Conveyor stuff. Plus, we're going to be creating latches and a whole bunch of other things, and doors and hinges and locks and you name it, it's coming. It's going to be really crazy stuff. Our flash snaps released? Yeah, everything's already released. Everything's released. Make a cutout in the middle of the tab of the light switch. Is there a way to include the corners while making a nice internal border? So Rock 67, just play around with the advanced tile generator, the toggles. You'll be able to make anything and everything you want. Question, sorry. Oh, hold on. Question, why have the different types of snaps, weight bearing and hook snaps and all the rest? It feels overcomplicated when you could just use the strongest snap, because people sometimes don't want the strongest snap. It's as simple as that. This system isn't just made to be up on the wall. It's also made to be on here. It's also made to be underneath. It's made to be everywhere. So depending on what exactly you're wanting to do, depending if you have an off the wall snap, depending if your board is off the wall, you might want to use a heavy weight bearing hook snap. If you're flush to the wall, the strongest snap you're going to be able to use is a weight bearing directional snap. If you're just using it onto a surface and you just want to be able to click things in and out, then you just use a normal snap. There are many reasons in many different ways, and just because for your use case you could just use one snap, it doesn't mean that others don't. I found that as I've been building more and more, especially with the ongrid update, it is incredibly important to not just have the strongest snap. Sometimes what you need is the most flexible snap, which is just your normal basic snap. Sometimes you need the heaviest weight bearing thing out there, which is currently this hooked flush snap, or the DS side with a lock on the back of it when you have something going on there. So yeah, it's sort of, it's Lego for adults, so it's going to be more complicated than Lego because we're not dealing with just bricks here. We're dealing with functional parts, and it's one of those things that it really depends on the crazy setup that you decide to go with this, because you can do a lot with this system. Okay, then we've got question, flush, opposite, raised, double side snap. Question, sorry, but I can't find the flush as an opposite to the raised double-sided snap. Part B? Part B. Oh, this, yes, there is a flush part B. There is this, let me do it close. There is a flush part B about. Currently, just be aware that you actually have to click in to see all of them, because this does exist. It does work, and it is around. Just there is this full flushness if you're really wanting that as well. Something that some people might be wondering is, why do we still have the raised part A and B? Those are used actually for freestanding setups between two poles. That's what keeps the tiles together when you're like having them up. There's a great guy, Cogworth. Oh goodness, I always forget his YouTube channel, but the guy that does animatronic 3D printed faces. He's got a freestanding multi-board that he's got all his stuff hanging up on, and it's really cool. We're actually going to be developing an entire system to let you do freestanding pole-to-pole connections. All right, I've got 3 minutes left, and then I'll have to sort of sign off of here. But let me just quickly see, last questions here. What is the go-to filament type? My go-to filament type is matte PLA because I'm a fan of it. The brands that I use are Bamboo and Zyro, Z-I-R-O for my black. I also use Zyro Orange, but be careful with Zyro Orange. It is super pigmented. It will literally leach out its color onto your wall, onto other prints, onto other surfaces. I have too many rolls of it. I'm still using it for now, but I'm going to be switching up that orange completely. I'm actually going to be changing it to this color scheme here, which is this blue, this one, and this dark blue here. And that is due to accessory component connection. So then the packs will all be rendered out, and you'll be able to make sure you understand what's that, and all the pack videos will be a lot better explained. Question, any chance of more starter packs for more expanded configurations? 100%. I'm actually working on those right now. Questions, what is your strongest snap right now on the flush mounted strongest snap? Flush mounted. Weight bearing directional snap or using a mid thread flush. So you bolt lock this into there and then you thread it on. That's probably going to be using your most weight bearing right there because of all the thread. If you're just using the weight bearing one, you only have one tooth really holding it. With thread all the way around, that's going to be much better, but of course the thread orientation then kicks in. Yeah, this is why I don't like flush mounted that much, unfortunately. It's just flush mounting really does hinder you sometimes, but it's also super duper easy to set up. So it's one of those things, like how variable and how weight bearing. If you want super duper weight bearing and you're using flush, this is probably the best one to go with. That one can hold, due to the massive tooth that you have on here. Let me just do it close. This whole tooth, this, and it's also not just one tooth, it's a triple tooth system that's going on here. And then we're gonna have yet another one that actually has a tooth system coming out on the sides. These are insane. So yeah, that's what I would basically say. So these I know can hold a lot of weight, but as soon as you add any type of extension outwards, just be aware that is a counter lever, and it really does add a lot of weight to things. Weight, strength, that will break systems. What printers do I use? I use all of the Bamboo printers. I also use the Prusa XL. I also use a Creality. Oh god, what's the Creality one? The Creality, it's not called Carbon. I've totally forgotten what it's called. Anyway, it's the first Creality enclosed one. That is, by the way, my potato printer because it prints like garbage. So that's how I do my making sure that everything works. I also use a King Rune XP something. I use that one a whole bunch. I also use, what other ones do I've recently retired a whole bunch of them. I used to use a Mingda and some Ender ones, but honestly it's now coming to the point that if you're not Clipper enabled and you're not really up to the quality, again, Bamboo, 85% market share, you cannot beat that. Well, I think it's now 75. It is insane. And what I really want to try out is the Centauri carbons and the new things there. Oop, I'm late. I've got a meeting right now. So guys, I'm going to sign off here. Is there a connect to the boards with the squishy squarish pole? We'll deal with that all in the future. Regarding the packs, you just answered. Are there plans for more practical packs? Starter kit type? Yes, there's lots of stuff, everything coming out. All right, guys, I'm going to have to sign off now, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all and answering as many questions as I can. I'm going to be doing this a lot more frequently, and really, it means the absolute world to have this incredible community and everything that's going on. It's been amazing. And we're just going to carry on crushing it. We already are, and it's going to be just crazy from this point onwards. It really does mean so much, the support from the community and the members. It's actually thanks to the members, the people who are paying and supporting, that I'm able to push the development this to new frontiers that I never thought we would get to. I'm basically investing like 80% of everything back into that. It's a lot, and I now need to just invest it a little bit in my health in the next coming months, just because I want to make sure that I'm not burning myself out for you guys. But that doesn't mean that stuff isn't going to be coming out. I'm just going to no longer put as much pressure to get this. We're now just polishing things off rather than pumping things out. It doesn't mean things won't be coming out. Just want to mention that things will still be coming out because there's already stuff in the pipeline, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and I shall talk to you all soon. Let me know when you want another live stream. Maybe I'll turn this into a bi-weekly thing, or maybe a monthly thing, because every 2 weeks I think is too much. But yeah, I will talk to you all later. Thank you so much for watching, and keep making. All right, where's this off button? There it is. All right, bye. Let's see. I always know this stays longer.